What is going on, everybody? My name is Nico and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. Kind of VGC, kind of update video for Scarlet and Violet in general, because we got a new trailer yesterday regarding some stuff that's coming in the DLC for Scarlet and Violet, and it has some pretty big implications on VGC and competitive Pokemon in general, based on some of the Pokemon that are going to be returning and some of the new moves that are going to be added. So I want to talk about all that here today. So if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more videos like this in the future, but let's get into it. So I have the trailer for the actual DLC right here, and we saw a lot of interesting stuff. I have it muted because we don't really need the sound for anything, but we saw so much really interesting stuff in this particular trailer. So they're talking a lot about the Indigo disc here in this one, and we see right off the bat, starters are returning. They're calling them the first partner Pokemon. I guess that's their new official term for starter Pokemon. But we see them all over the place, and there is some speculation, just a little brief speculation here. They showed these particular Pokemon right off the rip, right? So we have Cyndaquil here, okay? And we have Oshawott, right? And we have Rowlet. Now, those are all the Hisui starter Pokemon. Is there any reason that the other Pokemon were right there, Piplup, Torchic, and Snivy? Could there potentially be some indication there that they are the next starters to be chosen for, you know, whatever game there is? I'm assuming, you know, people are speculating that it's going to be Legends Unova, but is that a little teaser? Maybe, maybe not. I think it could be, just from the way they lined it up. But anyways, that's not what's important to VGC. All the starters are returning. This is what's important right here. What my cursor is flying over, that is a Litten, folks. That is a freaking Litten, and it is absolutely devastating to me. Obviously, everybody loves their starter Pokemon, and it's cool that Incineroar is coming back. I like Incineroar personally, but God, I am not happy to have this return in competitive Pokemon. Now, if you're unfamiliar as to why this is such a big deal in competitive Pokemon, let's go ahead and pull up the Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive details. Moving over to Pikalytics here, we have Incineroar topping the charts as the most used Pokemon in the Series 12 Showdown stats, above Zacian even. Incineroar is always prevalent because it is so freaking good. So the reason this thing is just a menace to society is, one, it has great defensive stats in general. It's got really good bulk naturally, but the tools that it has at its disposal are what really makes this Pokemon shine, right? So we have Intimidate automatically. Boom. Intimidate's great in competitive Pokemon. You're able to lower the attack stat of Pokemon, doing that to things like Zacian or Urshifu, you know, Pokemon that are just doing massive amounts of damage. Rillaboom, things of that nature is really, really helpful. But we also have access to not only Intimidate, but Fake Out. That's crazy on its own. Then we have access to Flare Blitz to do big damage. This Pokemon has decent attack stats as well. And then you have Parting Shot, allowing you to lower both the attack and special attack of the Pokemon that you use it on and rotate out. So you have the ability to simply come in, Fake Out, intimidate the Pokemon, and then intimidate them again, essentially, and rotate out to continue Intimidate cycling. This Pokemon is absolutely insane. Pair that with a berry, a Wiki Berry, Citrus Berry, whatever the case may be, and you're constantly going to be able to keep that Pokemon in the game, keep it rotating and intimidating and being a nuisance and just being a problem. And it's back. 73% usage rate. This Pokemon was everywhere. And if you look at Pokemon right now that have that kind of usage rate, Fluttermane is everywhere. Incineroar is the exact same problem. So I think that Incineroar coming back is not a bad thing. It's just something that, because it's everywhere, like, it's that Pokemon that we're so tired of, at least me personally, so tired of seeing, that it's nice seeing other Pokemon have that moment to shine. Things like Landorus, things like Arcanine, things like Hisuian Arcanine, you know, other Intimidators that can fill a similar role. It is nice to see those Pokemon kind of have that moment to shine before something like Incineroar comes in and just basically takes over the metagame. But it's coming back, and it's going to be a problem. But coming back over to the trailer, obviously they're going to show off the rest of these Pokemon here, which is cool. There is another Pokemon. I'm trying to locate it. There it is. Smeargle. Smeargle's back. Now, Smeargle is very, very interesting. It has been a very popular Pokemon in previous formats. I can't speak as heavily on Smeargle personally because I started playing in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and Smeargle was not available in those games. However, I've seen many other PokeTubers talk about Smeargle in competitive and how it was a very dominant threat in competitive Pokemon. I believe it was even listed in one of Moxie's Boosted's most recent like long form videos. Just a very, very good Pokemon. It might have even been in the gimmicks video, I don't remember entirely, but it's a very good Pokemon that continues popping up. So I'll be interested to see how Incineroar and Smeargle actually like work in the meta together. It's a very good Pokemon that I've heard time and time again. So I'd be keen to see how it does here in Scarlet and Violet, especially with things like terrestrialization. Moving on, we have other moves that have actually been announced. They're showing off all these Pokemon terrestrializing, but the big thing is we have new attacks that have been added, and actually some of these are fairly interesting. I don't know 100% what the implications are going to be. For one, we have Psychic Noise here. It's a Psychic type attack that deals damage and prevents the target from healing, so things like Dondozo, not allowing them to rest, things of that nature, is pretty cool. It's a very interesting attack style, but I don't know how often, because you're like, it depending on the base damage of this, it could be good, but you're almost committing an attack slot just to like stop a setup that may not even exist on a team, which is really, really interesting to me. I also find it interesting that in all of these battle like highlight videos that they put out for Scarlet and Violet, it's always single battles, but there's like no support for single battles. It's all VGC. I just always find that really interesting. So then the next move, I believe it is Upper Hand. Yes, Upper Hand strikes before a target's priority move. I think this is interesting. I'll be curious to see how this acts, though. Does it work like Fake Out, where it always hits and you always flinch the Pokemon? Or does it require that Pokemon to be using a priority move? Because you saw it went before Bullet Punch and it flinched Scizor. I think this is really cool. I think it's very useful, especially looking at a lot of the Pokemon in the format right now, with Urshifus running around, Aqua Jetting stuff, with Dragonite's E-Speeding. Dragonite's an interesting scenario because Dragonite does have access to Inner Focus and cannot be flinched, but things like Chien-Pao as well. I think it's very interesting, but I think this move could be problematic if it requires the priority move. If it doesn't, if it's like Fake Out, it just hits stuff and flinches them, perfect, that's awesome. But if it requires the priority move, that's where I think things get a bit hairy with this particular attack. We don't have all that information yet, obviously, but I think this is cool. It has a lot of use cases that could be very interesting. We also got to see the Paradox Pokemon, Raging Bolt. We got to see its exclusive move. It's Electric Dragon. It seems to be following the trend. Walking Wake was Water Dragon. I'd imagine whenever the Entei Paradox comes out, it will follow suit and be Fire Dragon. Same for Iron Crown. That particular Pokemon is a Steel Psychic type, and I'd imagine that it's like Rock Psychic type or Fighting Psychic type for Terrakion. So is Terrakion Rock type? I can't remember, but I believe it'll follow suit for that particular set of Pokemon. But Thunderclap is very interesting because it strikes before a target's attack. I think this is really cool. It just goes before another Pokemon. It shuts down these very fast Pokemon like Iron Bundle, as you saw there. I think this is a really, really useful tool. And it just kind of fits really well. I think it's very cool. I also love the design of this particular Pokemon, so I'm extremely excited to use it. Especially with things like Photosynthesis and things of that nature. I think this is going to be a really cool Pokemon on a team. Very, very excited to try that one out. Again, going into Iron Crown here, the Cobalion Paradox Pokemon. It is Steel Psychic, and it gets a very cool move where it is, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it always hits 2 times. Tachyon Cutter, there it is. You see it used here on this Mimikyu. You break the disguise, you knock out the Mimikyu, but it is guaranteed to hit twice in a row. Pair this with like Terra Steely Spirit. I have some like cheeky stuff going on in my head right now that I'm really excited to try out for that particular Pokemon. But finally, we get into the most potentially the most interesting part of this entire trailer. I'm gonna skip right to it. We have a new Tera Type. Now, it is unconfirmed whether or not this is going to mean that there is a new type altogether. This is the 19th Tera Type. It is unconfirmed what this actually does for anything, but we've seen it not only used on Terrapagos, but also used on other Pokemon. There are screenshots of this being used on things like Baxcalibur and other Pokemon. So this is applied to not just legendary Pokemon or Terrapagos. It is all Pokemon, and it is unclear at this time what this particular thing does. Now, I have some speculation as to what this could possibly do, but leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I don't really know. Like, nobody knows. It's all speculation right now. We see this little crown here. They're just talking about extra DLC stuff here at the end, but I'm gonna skip back to this and kind of let this play. My speculation is that this is a completely neutral typing, right? Everything hits it for neutral damage, and that is it. However, when you terastallize, I was talking to one of my viewers, one of my friends in the Discord about this, and there's a potential that this could just give stab to every attack type, which I think is something that could be really cool. And I think the best way to balance this would simply be to make it a neutral type to everything else except the opposing Tera type of the same type. So we saw it Tera, and let me see if I can find it again. There's Tera Blast right here in the corner right above my head. They have Tera Blast. It changes to that particular typing. I think this will be an entirely neutral typing except to the same type. It will be super effective against the same Tera type. That is my speculation. I think it could give stab to every move type in the game, and I think that could be really, really interesting. Just a thought. Again, we know nothing about this. We know nothing. We saw in the last trailer that Ogerpon had like a special terastallization form. We don't know how this ties into that, or if other Pokemon are also getting special terastallization forms. I'm personally a little bummed because I thought Tera was very good as it was. I really was hoping they wouldn't change it to any capacity, but it seems they're tweaking it, and it is going to change competitive for sure. So I'm keen to see what all of this ties into, but that is going to be it for this video, guys. Tons of new Pokemon stuff, tons to be excited for and slightly nervous for as far as competitive Pokemon goes moving into the DLC. I'm curious on everybody's thoughts in the comments below. I think this is very, very interesting stuff. But like I said, that's it for this one. If you found the video entertaining, leave a like and sub for more videos like this in the future. Also, be sure to check out the Discord, people over there hanging out, playing Pokemon all the time. And if you want to see anything else from me, check out any of the videos that you see here on screen. But until next time, peace.